this live sheep ban that is now being mooted, 25 peak farming groups in Western Australia warning the federal government that a proposed ban on live sheep exports is a line they say that can't be crossed. We're talking about 3,000 jobs on the line, industry worth over $1 billion in 21-22 financial year. We know the Gillard government went down this path. I was there at the time in Canberra, 2011, live cattle ban, disastrous. There's been a whole lot of work done now to better regulate live sheep exports. What do you think? Should it go or should it stay?
Look, I'm glad I'm not making this call. In my DNA, I'm not a massive fan of the live sheep export industry. Despite the assurances over the years, there have still been, as you know, some very, very terrible situations come to light. And once the animals get to the destination, we don't have the complete control over their welfare that we might like to think we would have here. So I have, I suppose, some ethical dilemmas with the industry, well, with the inevitable consequence of putting a whole lot of sheep on boats and heading to very, very hot destinations. With that said, you're quite right. A sort of overnight ban cessation, call it over, doesn't work. We've seen that with cattle. I think there was a class action that cost you, me and the taxpayers up to $1 billion. Not enough accountability there. So if something like this is to happen, it has to be very, very slowly and gradually put in place so people can pivot or people can come up with a new income stream. We can't have what happened last time happen again. I think I'm sitting on the fence, aren't I, here? A bit.
I think you are. You've got a career in politics there, Michael. Absolute career in politics. Hey, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Tasmania, a guy called Rufus Black, I think he's belled the cat this week. He has said once you have an Indigenous voice in the Constitution, no civil institution, i.e. meaning universities, could ignore it. You know, that we'll all have to pay attention, he says, to this voice. So it's not just Canberra, it'll run right across society, Michael.
Well, it will, and this is the nonsense of the yes argument, the so-called assurance to all of us who are a little bit confused or doubting at this point. They say, oh, look, it won't have veto power over the Parliament. The Parliament will be sovereign. Well, technically, yes, and I suppose that goes for all institutions. But you try being the Prime Minister or the member of the Cabinet with the relevant portfolio. If the voice says you've got to do X, but you say, no, I want to do Y, good luck with that. So it doesn't have to be written into law that this is a third chamber or an echo chamber or whatever you want to call it. It will have clout in its very presence. And I suspect most people in politics, let alone in the institutions, won't have the courage to say no to its utterances, even if deep down they don't believe them.
And just quickly, I mean, I played for my viewers at the top of the show that apology last night from the project team. All sincere, if you believe it. You're a professional broadcaster. I call BS on that apology because I looked particularly at Sarah Harris. She was laughing the night before. Now, if she thought it was so wrong, as she pretended to tell us she did last night, then why didn't she call it out at the time? How would you have handled it? Did you think it was sincere?
Look, I, like most people in Australia, didn't watch it live. I'll say that much. I had to look it up knowing we might talk about this, and I suspect that's the case for most people. Maybe that's a blessing. But look, sometimes you can be caught on the hop. I think maybe in the past I might have laughed once or twice out of politeness, certainly nothing anything as graphic as that, almost as a nervous reaction, and then you gather your thoughts during an ad break, and with the length of a radio show, you can come back and say, listen, something went to air, it wasn't right, we retracted, or you get a bit of time to ask the guest to retract. Live TV, as you know, can be a little bit different, but it's just another example of people getting onto the TV or wherever it is and thinking they can have a crack at the Christian faith, where they don't seem to have the courage to put it all out there concerning other faiths or other matters. And that double standard is actually the thing that I am most upset about with that particular incident. That, you know, here we have a quote-unquote comedian who apparently is quite entertaining, never heard of him. But it's this desire to always have a crack at Christianity and no other, and yet you pretend that somehow, you know, you like to break the barriers and push the boundaries and, well, really, do you? Or is there only certain areas you want to have a go at?
Anyone that Channel 10's in trouble, Michael McLaren, thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Just a reminder, Michael McLaren's now off nights. He's there on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday on 2GB, and I listen to him every week. Love it.